Very particular order of Parashat Nasso, and I want to discuss the order. Okay? The order and what goes on in this order. So, we start off by picking who is going to build the Mishkan and who's always going to take care of the Mishkan. Then it starts a very interesting commandment that seems to go from left field. Tzav et bnei Yisrael v'shalcho min hamachane kol tzarua v'chol zav v'chol tameh lanafesh. You should banish from the camp anybody who's a leper or a zav. A zav is a sickness that comes, that a man sees semen that comes out with, it's a sickness though.
Indiscreet semen.
It's but it's not regular season. It's like pus. Yeah, that's more exact. V'chol tameh lanafesh, and anybody who's impure, he's banished from the machane. Okay, fine. Zachar or nekeva, they should be banished from the machane. Then there's an interesting commandment.
Why is it saying tameh lanafesh, not tameh laguf?
Okay, a good question. You could make a drasha about it, and the nefesh becomes tameh. Okay, then we learn like this: Daber bnei Yisrael, ish o isha ki yasu b'kol chatat adam limon baal b'Adonai v'ashma nefesh ahi v'hidvadu et chadutam asher asu v'tshiyat hashmo v'rasho v'chabshtu yosef elav. If a person does an avira, he has to pay back. An avira. In other words, if he lied about that he had a product and that he didn't have it and he really had it, he says, "Hey, you took my thing." No, I don't have it. He really has it. He has to pay that in a fifth. Okay. Now, what happens if he stole something from the person and he doesn't have any yorshim? He doesn't have any inheritors. Okay. So this is very interesting. Who doesn't have yorshim?
What do you mean inheritors?
In other words, he doesn't have anybody who's a relative that you. In other words, the person died. You owe him extra because you scammed him, right? You said you really didn't have a product and you sweared about it. And you really had it. You have to pay that and a fifth. It's called chomesh. Now this is called he doesn't have. Who doesn't have family? A ger, yeah, because a ger, a person who is a convert, doesn't have family. It's called gezel hager. Gezel hager. Im en lo leish goel lehashiv hasham alav hasham, you have to give it to the Kohen, and then you have a kapara if you give it to the Kohen. So we're going from banishing lepers and a person who's a zav and a person who's a tameh to gezel hager, to stealing from a ger and having to give back to the Kohen. What's next? וידבר אדוני אל משה לאמור דבר בני ישראל ואמרת להם איש איש תסטה אשתו ומעלו במעל. If a woman cheats on her husband, okay, and she sleeps with a man who's not her husband, she becomes tameh. But let's say there's no witnesses and she says, I'm innocent, but they saw her being secluded with a man. It's the parasha of sotah. What is the process of a sotah? He warns her, he says, I don't want you to be alone with this man. And she was alone with him. So what happens? She has to separate from him. He brings her to the Kohen. And listen to what she has to do. She has a whole korban that she brings. It's called the minhat sotah. And the Kohen takes from the water that's in an earthenware vessel to show that she probably seduced her adulterer with nice glasses of wine. Here's a very cheap kli cheres earthenware pot that she should prepare the korban with, and she should prepare for the water with. That we're going to see what's going to happen soon. And the Kohen takes this lady and he uncovers her hair, which is a form of embarrassment to her. And that way she's going to, we want her to admit it, because if she doesn't admit it, she's going to drink the waters, and if she's guilty, she's going to burst and she's going to die. Right? Now, if the Kohen is going to say, we're going to give you to drink this water. What's this water? The Kohen writes on a parchment the whole Parashat Nasso. He erases, the name of Hashem gets erased. And this holy water, the sota water, she drinks it. If she's guilty, she dies right away. It was an amazing thing. They would see it. They could see it with their own eyes. It's one of the miracles. And if she's innocent, so she becomes pure, and she can have more kids, and it's going to be a big bracha for her. Which everyone asks, what do you mean? This lady secluded herself with someone she wasn't supposed to. Okay, so you're right. She comes out innocent. She didn't do anything. But for that, we should reward her? Says Rabbi Lebhar, yes. Because she was so close to doing an Avira and she held back, we recognize that. Okay, but you're right. She shouldn't have gone to that situation. But she did. We already recognize that there was something. Okay.
Right. Is there any record of any woman actually taking the water and thirsty?
Sure. Yeah, that happened.
Yeah.
That happened.
But we see also work for the men, not only for women, because the time from Avodah Zarah, Moshe Rabbeinu made
the Baal.
the golden calf.
If they served Avodah Zarah, he'd make them drink it. Whoever
Yes.
died. Okay, but not regarding sotav. If a man commits adultery, a lot of guys would be blown up very, very quickly. So Next parasha, after the parashat sota, וידבר אדוני אל משה לאמור, דבר בני ישראל ואמרת להם, איש או אישה כי יפלי לנדור נדר נזיר להזיר לאדוני. We have the parasha of the Nazir, of the Nazarite. What does it say about the Nazarite? He shouldn't drink any wine. So, what's the sequence of event over here? It's very, very puzzling. First, you go from the Tzara'at and Zav and Tameh are banished. Then it goes to the Gezel Hager, stole from a ger. He has to give back to the Kohen because there's nobody else to give to because the ger doesn't have any family. Then it goes to the Sota, and then it goes to the Nazir. So there's a very beautiful sefer called Pri Tzadik. You know Pri Tzadik is? His name was Rabbi Tzadok HaKohen. He used to be from the Litaim camp, the Mitnagdim camp. In the time, again, there was a Hasidim and the Mitnagdim, and he transformed into a Hasid. He became a Hasid. And he has beautiful and very deep explanations. The Pri Tzadik, he lived, 1800s he lived. And he explains this parasha in a beautiful, beautiful way. And I'm going to tell you like this, what he says. Let's start with being banished out of the camp because he's a tzarua. Why does a person get leprosy? Because he speaks Lashon Hara, right? Where does Lashon Hara come from? Because of jealousy. The person has jealousy. And he's angry that he doesn't have that. So, Kina, Ka'as, Kavod, Ta'ava. Those are the four capital bad midot in a person. Jealousy, anger, honor, and lust. So a tzarua, somebody who has leprosy, that symbolizes that he has jealousy, and that's why he spoke Lashon Hara, and anger that, he doesn't like this guy, he's going to speak out against him. Right? What's a zav? A zav is that, it's coming like semen, which is ta'ava, which is lust that he has. Okay? And tamil, what's tamil nefesh? Somebody who's tamil nefesh, he says very interesting, he says kavod. In other words, it's kavod, that he has, he thinks it's such a high, he's so haughty, wasn't here, no, you're tameh. That's how he explains it. Now, a person should think, look, he got banished from this camp. He has kina, he has tava. Like a person could really be depressed if he thinks about how many challenges in life that he has. And the truth is that I said a story over Shabbat. I think you were at the drasha. Besides that, I don't know who heard the story. You didn't hear the story yet, right? I'm going to say the story over now. That a person could be in such depths of despair that, what's the hope? How is he ever going to come out of these, out out of such darkness and out of such misery, right? He has kina, he has kavod, he has tava, he has kas. Like, he has everything, all the strikes against him. And look, he got kicked out of the camp. He's a leper, and he's a zav. And in those days, you would do a spiritual avira, it would hit you right away. So a person could think, like, I'm hopeless. Oh, we have the Parashat Gezel Ger to tell us, look, you'd think that you stole from a ger, and there's no way you could repay him because he's not around anymore to repay him. You think you're lost, and Hashem is going to say, that's it. You're going to have to swallow your avira. It's going to be an avira that's going to stick with you. You have no way to do teshuvah. Hashem says, no. You could give that extra fifth to the Kohen. I'm always going to find a way out for you. I'm always going to find a way out for you. And comes along right afterwards the Parashat Sotah to tell this lady, look, you think that because you secluded yourself with someone, we don't care about you anymore. You're a prutza. You're a promiscuous woman, and you hanging around with men, and you're married, and you're not faithful. We're not going to care about you. Hashem says, no, I care about everyone, and I'm going to erase my name on the chance that you're not guilty. That's how much I care about you. You could be the most lowly person. You could be a person who doesn't have any hope whatsoever. Don't worry. Don't give up hope. Don't give up hope. And that's why right afterwards comes the Nazir, because you could always fix yourself by retracting and by keeping yourself from the Avira. He said over 2 stories on Shabbat. I'll tell you what it has to do with this, so I'll say them over. The first was Rabbi Elazar ben Dordaya. Who doesn't know about Elazar ben Dordaya? You know Elazar ben Dordaya? Gemara in Masechet Avodah Zarah says that Elazar ben Dordaya was familiar with every prostitute in the world. That's how bad Elazar ben Dordaya. You can imagine what type of guy he was. And he heard that there was one prostitute deep down in some island. So he went to her. He had to cross 7 rivers. He had to cross seven beds or something to get to her, and he go over a whole thing of coins. And Bishat Hergel Gedavar, the Gemara says, at the time where they were preparing to do an Avira, it says Hificha. What does that mean? She let out gas. And she said, you know what, she insulted him. She said, just like this gas is never going to come back, so too Elazar ben Dordaya is never going to do teshuvah. This was this prostitute telling him musar. How low can you get? Elazar ben Dordaya, he's getting musar from the prostitute of the world that was famous as for her prostitution, telling him musar that he's never, that God hates. Like, what hope does this guy have? What hope does this guy have? He caught himself, and he grabbed that moment, and he said, "Mountains, help me!" This is how we have to help ourselves. I said this is metaphorical, but it's saying that he was looking for help. He says, "Shamayim va'aretz, help me!" We have to help ourselves. Sun and the moon, help me! I said, we have to help ourselves. He says, I see that nobody's going to help me unless I help myself. He put his head in between his feet, and he started crying and crying and crying until he died because of agony. And then there was a voice in Shamayim that said, Elazar ben Dordaya mezuman lechayon amaba. Rabbi Elazar ben Dordaya mezuman lechayon amaba. Rabbi Elazar ben Dordaya, you are invited to the world to come. I'm sure that person was so lost, he always has that chance. There's a story not long that happened in America about a certain girl who grew up in the suburbs of Chicago. It was Miriam. Her Jewish name was Miriam, but she grew up in a very reformed family. And she went to day school, temple Sunday school. And in this Sunday school, you know the story, yeah. So you'll hear it over again. In the Sunday school, there was Orthodox teachers because they're the ones who want to hire, but they had strict clauses in their contract. Hey, you can. I'm saying over the story I said on Shabbat that you cannot. You were there on Shabbat. That you cannot. Okay, good. So you also hear the story. That you cannot. You cannot. That you cannot teach. You cannot teach anything about Orthodox practices or whatever else. You know, it's good. For sure you can't invite anybody for Shabbat. It was a grounds to get fired. There's one teacher, Mrs. Weiss, that she had to invite her friend over. She had to invite this student, a 5th grade student, Miriam, because she saw she had, as they would call it, a Jewish neshama, and she really wanted her to see what Shabbat is. So this 5th grader came and saw Mrs. Weiss lighting candles. She says, "Oh, I want to light candles also." She says, "Oh, you can't light candles. You know, I am lighting for you. You don't have to. You're a young girl." She says, "No, how do I know? I'm never going to be able to do this again. I want to light. She says, "Okay." She let her light candles, and then she saw Mrs. Weiss praying by the candles she never saw before. She felt very special. But she went back home for a Shabbat. You know, her parents totally not religious. And she lived her lifestyle. Miriam went to high school. Her name is Mary already. She went to private college. And she was, those memories of Judaism or something was far back. Eventually, she wanted to settle down and build a family. She met a nice Italian guy called Vinny. And she was supposed to get married in a church on Saturday. Mary was supposed to get in church, so we're friends. We're all excited. They say, "Mary, we have a special present for you. Close your eyes." On her wedding day on Saturday, she was dressed up, all in her gown, ready to go into the limo. She put a cross around her. She said, "Wow, a diamond cross and everything." So she didn't want to tell me, she felt she was Jewish, but still, she was about to get married in a church. That's how far away she was, but she felt something. She felt something on the trip. Okay, on their way to church.
She's allergic to diamonds.
What happened? She recalls that she's going to recount afterwards that she feels that while she was, on that moment that she was feeling her cross, in Shamayim there was a big uproar. And the angel that was created through her action of lighting candles when she was young said, "Hey, this girl did a mitzvah. Let's save her. She's about to marry a non-Jewish and get totally lost lost from the path of Judaism forever." So the Satan goes and says, "What do you mean? It's her fault. She chose this path." He says, "Well, she has a mitzvah." So the Beit Din decided, you know what? The mitzvah took 40 seconds. We're going to have 40 seconds to change her mind. Let's get back to what happened. Okay, we're imagining that might have happened in Shamayim. We don't know really, but that might have happened.
What business have the Satan?
Satan, what do you mean? He's a master prosecutor. The guy, he has a very good court case. He's one of the best lawyers you could find. For the other way, of course. Now, there was these Beis Yaakov girls that were on a Shabbaton. That week, it was in the suburbs of Chicago. And they were looking for the shul, but they didn't know their way. So they saw this limo, and they asked directions. "Can you help us out?" And they saw a bride. The bride said, Wait, I'm Jewish. I know where you're going." She says, "You're Jewish?" And they look at her and they look at the cross. She says, "Yeah. You follow the limo," because I was going to get into a car and show. But you follow the limo, and I'll show you where the synagogue is. I know you're looking for the Orthodox synagogue. Well, she said, "Yeah, okay, fine." So then the girls are telling each other, "Well, we have to do something that she's about to marry. What do we get?" She said, "The girls said, 'Are you crazy? What are we going to do exactly? Where girls are walking to shul? Can I tell them not to get married?" He says, "Okay, listen, we have to try." So they go and say, "Thank you very much. Why don't you come inside the synagogue and get a blessing from the rabbi on the day of your wedding?" She says, "Yeah, you think so?" She says, so her friends are like, "Mary, are you crazy?" She says, "No, I have to do it. I want to go." So she takes her gown, she goes in. She says, "You have to take off the cross." Doesn't look good. She took it off. She goes inside in the Ezrat Nashim, and she's sitting, and they're about to start Anim Zemirot. You know Anim Zemirot? Ashkenazim. Anim Zemirot. Yeah. And the little boy's singing Anim Zemirot, and she hears that, and she's so moved. She says, "Wow." And she starts having these memories and everything, and but her lighting candles and everything. She was very, very, very moved. Then she goes downstairs. The rabbi, they told the rabbi the story. They briefed him on the story. He goes to her. He says, "Congratulations, everything like that. Did you ever think of exploring your Judaism?" She says, "No. How would I know?" She says, "We're willing to teach you if you want." "You're willing to teach me? You and your wife?" "Yeah, we're willing to teach you." She says, "But I'm supposed to get married down there." She says, "Could you postpone the wedding?" On her way back to the car, her friend Seer says, "Mary, what's going on over here? Don't tell me you're not going to marry Vinny." She says, "I don't know, I felt something in that synagogue. I don't know, I can't go through with it." "What do you mean? Vinny's waiting for you." She says, "Well, you marry Vinny then. I can't do it." She says, "Okay, Mary, goodbye forever." And they speed off with her. Here, she's left alone, she's crying, and but she knew she made the right choice. She started studying with the rabbi and the rebbitzin. Eventually, she became more and more observant. She went to seminary in Israel. Eventually, she married a guy. A year later, they became Rebbe Arle Hasidim. You know what Rebbe Arle Hasidim are? These Mea She'arim, hardcore. They wear the golden robe and everything on Shabbat. Very special. How do we know this story? Because there's a seminary, Rabbi Wallerstein, his name is, he sends his girls out to different communities to experience different communities. So they went to this lady. This lady comes down to light Nerot. She already has kids and everything like that. This lady, Miriam, who was about to marry Vin, dressed in her wedding gown, lighting Hadlakat Nerot for 45 minutes, praying and davening. We should have Yeshua v'Nechama. And she's like, what in the world is going on over here? They said, what's going on? Who lights Nerot in their wedding gown? So they ask her, and she says, girls, I want to tell you something. Because of the merit of those candles, on my wedding day, I was saved. And I didn't leave the path of Judaism. I thank Hashem. This is how I light candles. From that day on, with my wedding gown, I'm davening for that. Hashem saved me. Isn't that beautiful?
On that note, sorry to interrupt you. Right now in Eretz Yisrael,
Yeah?
I have a customer using my phone.
Yeah?
His name is Henry Eaton.
Yeah?
He is the grandson of the Eatons.
Yeah?
He found out last year
Yeah?
that he knew he was adopted. He's 85 years old.
85.
He found that his parents were Holocaust survivors, and they were Jewish, and they came to Canada, and they couldn't fend for him, and they gave him up for adoption. And he found out last year that he was Jewish, and now he's 85 years old. He told us, I need to go to Israel. I need to find out who I am. The wife said, you're crazy. They're Christians, although they're Catholics all the way through. He's right now in Israel, right this week. Huh? Yeah, they're Protestant.
That's amazing.
He goes, your wife said, if you do it, we're getting divorced. So he goes, so get the divorce. I'm Jewish.
The wrong way.
I'm going to go find out now. And they're in Israel right now. Henry Eaton, the heir to the Eaton
That's
throne.
amazing. Wow. Well, these two stories illuminate the fact Eli, you're going to have to tell them the stories afterwards.
Which one? The one with the seven rivers.
Yeah. You have to tell them those stories afterwards. That at the end of time,
It's more,
More spice.
Yeah.
at the end of time, everyone has a chance to do teshuvah.
Even you.
Lo yidach mimenu nidach. That's what we learn from this week's parasha. That we go from the tsarua and the zav. They have all the bad midot of jealousy and anger and lust and honor and just like they give up already. Hashem says no. There's always hope. I'm always going to give you a door to exit. I'm always going to give you a door of hope. That's why the Parashat Sotah follows. Don't worry. Even though you sinned and you weren't supposed to do what you're supposed to do, I'll be there. I'll erase my name to show that that if you're really innocent.
Does Hashem have the same, I guess you have, that he lets a Jew repent at the end? Does a Goy have the same opportunity to repent as well?
Sure.
I heard the Goy does not have the concept of the Shuvah. In the eyes of God.
So it's
They
okay.
have to
It's
fulfill
easier.
their mitzvot here. And I heard it in one of the shiur because it's a question that I asked at one point.
Mhm.
And I heard no. The concept of Shuvah does not exist for a Goy.
There is
They
a
don't do
concept of
anything
that,
bad.
it could be that it's not the same level that are.
The
It could be what you heard in this shiur
That's the
was
point.
that
They
our
don't
level
do these things.
our level of purifying ourselves is not the same. Our level of purifying ourselves is not the same. But there is an aspect that a person could have regret on what he did. I think there is an aspect even by goyim. It could be it's not cleansing like
It would make
us.
sense. I mean,
Mhm. And it doesn't make our avirot kischuyot. Maybe it doesn't do it that type of level, but on a certain degree. Nineveh did teshuvah, right? Nineveh were goyim, the whole city of Nineveh, and Rona asked them to repent, and they repented. See, there's a concept by Nineveh of teshuvah. Then you have the parasha of Nazir. We tell the Nazir, stay away from wine. This is a very famous, I'm sure I spoke about it in past years.
Wine?
Wine.
No, from wine.
From wine.
But that's for 30 days, no?
Well, there's a Nazir that could be forever, but regular Nazir, yes, is for 30 days.
Not only the wine, whatever comes from the vine.
Whatever comes from the wine. וידבר אדוני אל משה לאמור, דבר בני ישראל ואמרת להם, איש או אישה כי יפליל נדור נדר להזהיר על אדוני. What connection does one have to the other? That we have Sotah, we have the Parashat of Sotah, and right afterwards we have the Parashat of Nazir, so very famous words. What? Very famous words that says the following.
Wait a minute, it's coming.
Lama nisbecha Parashat Nazir le Parashat Sotah? Why is the Parashat Nazir close to the Parashat Sotah? Lomar lecha, to tell you, shekol haro'eh Sotah bikilkula, anybody who sees a Sotah who's getting her hair uncovered in front of everyone and being shamed and drinking the water and dying, yazir atzmo min hayayin. He should say, I'm not going to drink wine, because it's going to come to frivolousness, and eventually it could also come to bring him to the actual situation of Sotah. Famous question is the opposite. A guy sees somebody getting arrested for drunk driving and his license taken away or whatever else. He's going to know
Don't do that.
that, he shouldn't drink and drive. Eric Azarwal saying it doesn't work that way. Au contraire, as they say in French.
Even more.
Au contraire, when a person sees the reality that somebody actually crossed the line and did something he wasn't supposed to do,
He got away with it.
not even if he didn't get away from it, subconsciously it becomes a reality by him. It's possible to do such things. It's a reality. Like, let's say a person never tried drugs in his life, and he never knew anybody who tried drugs. That's not even like in my radar. But if all his friends around him, even though they overdosed right in front of him, but he saw drugs, that brings him closer to the Avirah. When a person knows that something like this is possible, whoever thought that a woman who's married would commit adultery, but he saw it with his own eyes. You're right, she died and she bursted into a million pieces in front of his face. But it doesn't matter. He saw a reality that for him was never a reality. Be careful. Make yourself fences, because you're more prone to such an avirah from now on. That's what it says also. My Rosh Yeshiva gave this message the day that Rabin was murdered by a Jew. Beforehand.
Just based on the concept of Avirah, Gorah,
Yeah, but why Avirah? I saw a retribution. If I didn't see retribution, fine. If I saw him getting away with it, fine. But I didn't see him getting away with it. I saw the punishment and I saw the action and the punishment. Doesn't matter. Seeing the punishment, that's on an intellectual basis, but on an emotional basis, it made an effect on you. So Rabbi Shiva said when Rabin was murdered, beforehand, who would ever think of a Jew murdering another Jew?
Yeah.
It's like it was something so foreign to us.
Yeah.
When this reality happened, you got to be careful. It made an effect on us. Could be we say it's horrible what he did, etc.
Right,
from today till tomorrow, but there's something in our system that got weakened. There's something in our system that got weakened.
It's an accepted reality.
It's an accepted reality. Okay, however you want to call it.
Part of the fence got broken.
Part of the fence got broken.
Listen, when I lived in Israel, we're going from Ranana to Netanya, and there's a prison there.
Mm-hmm.
And you see all these religious women preparing Shabbat for their husbands, and because they're all in prison. And my daughter looked at me, Shira looked at me, goes, Abba, are they bringing Shabbat to the people because they have no Shabbat? They don't understand that in that prison is all Jews, and real Orthodox Jews. So it's a shock of reality.
Yeah.
And
then it makes a person closer to him, and that's why a person has to. Once he sees that, he has to make fences to himself, because he knows he's more prone to it. Those are the lessons that we learned from this week's parasha. All right, so we covered a lot.
Is it that he's more prone to us, or we're more prone, or that the reality that it's possible has occurred to him?
The reality that it's possible.
Yeah.
And since it's possible, it's closer to him, and on a subconscious level, and it's going to make an effect that it can be a closer reality to him. Closer. So that's Parashat Nasso. It's packed. It's packed. So after Nazir, what do we have? After Parashat Nazir, so this is the continuation. After a person sees Sotah, that Hashem gives hope, he says, yes, there's always hope. But you got to take that step. What's that step? Make protections for yourself. Don't indulge. Be in control of yourself. Know when to say no. Take upon yourself the challenge of being a Nazir for 30 days. You're not going to drink wine. It's already going to make an effect on you. After you do that, what's the next parasha after Nazir? Anybody know? וידבר אדוני אל משה לאמור, דבר אל אהרון ואל בניו לאמור, כה תברכו את בני ישראל לאמור להם, יברכך אדוני וישמרך. יאיר אדוני פניו אליך. We have two kohanim here. ויחונך, שא אדוני פניו אליך וישם לך שלום ושמו את שבט בני ישראל ויברכם. Why? אחרי זה נאמר ברכת כהנים, says Rav Tzadok, because somebody who keeps himself from an avera, he'll get the real bracha. He's going to be zochet to the bracha. And somebody who takes him l'shem shamayim, he keeps himself away from nizirut, then zoche lechol habrachot amurat b'brikot kohanim. It's a famous story that the Gemara brings in, that one of the rabbanim would never partake in the korban nazir. He would never partake in the korban nazir because he felt that it wasn't always l'shem shamayim. He didn't really know what the intentions were. It could be the person has an intention of kavod or not. Until one time he met a nazir, and he asked him, "What's your story?" He says, "Well, one time I have these beautiful, beautiful locks of hair, and and I told myself, I looked inside a reflection in the puddle, and I saw this beautiful figure. And I said, wow, I'm really beautiful. And I said, what? Rasha, could I think that? I'm going to start thinking that I could do averot now because of my beauty. So right away I decided to be a Nazir. So when I saw that, says the Gemara, from that korban Nazir I ate because I saw it was Shem Shamayim. If somebody keeps himself away from Avira, the Shem Shamayim, he wants to protect himself, that's when he gets all the brachot ha'amurot b'Torah. Chazak u'baruch, everyone. Beautiful. We covered the whole bulk of the main part of the parasha. After, at the end of the parasha, it's one of the longest ones. It says every korban. Korbano. It's a repetition of 12 nesi'im.
There's 3 parashas this Shabbat?
No.
You just said talk about 3.
No, 3 prakim in the parasha. That's how I call it. 3.
What's in Parashat this week?
Parashat Nasso.
Nasso. So Nasso has Sotah?
No, Nasso is going to have at the beginning the lepers that are banished from the camp. Then you have Gezel Ager. Then you have Sota. Then you have Nazir. Then you have Birkat Kohanim. And then we're going to get into all of the different korbanot that were given by the Nisi'im. We should know the Orach Chaim HaKadosh has a very long arichuta, every single Nasi, what his korban was. But that's for another time.
That's another story.
Hazak u'baruch.